Hello and welcome to Product School. Today, we're going to talk about tips and tricks for a successful product management interview. My name is Sonia Estevez Alcolado, and I have been in product management for over 20 years, managing teams of 25 people or more in ideating, building, managing, and commercializing technologies and products, platforms and services that delight B2B2C customers, drive revenue, and increase market share. As head of product for Alexa for Enterprise at Amazon, I led teams of product and category management in integrating Alexa into third-party devices like Samsung TVs and Sonos speakers. Prior to Amazon, I spent 3 years managing content and service integrations for Samsung mobile devices across major wireless carriers nationwide. I also spent 12 years building and scaling the team responsible for launching hundreds of new Samsung devices and dozens of new technologies for Verizon Wireless. I started my career as a mechanical engineer and physical designer of cell phones. And I got into product management because I wanted to bridge the communication gap I saw between business and engineering. I am an advocate for STEM education and diversity, so you'll find me often in panels and youth conferences talking to high school and college students about STEM. I'm also an educational counselor for MIT and a speaker for HISPA, where I visit middle schools around New Jersey, talking to financially challenged students about the value of staying in school and finding their passion. So let's look at today's agenda. We're going to start with, obviously, an introduction, deep diving on how to nail the hiring manager interview. I'll give you a list of tips and tricks that we may not be able to cover during the meat of the presentation and summarize key takeaways. As a hiring manager, I've performed hundreds of interviews for myself as well as other managers, from interns to VPs. And I have never seen such qualified numbers of candidates as I see today, in particular candidates looking to fill product management roles. So to land a job, it is important to know what hiring managers are looking for. There's a lot of information out there on how to prepare for product management interviews. So I want to focus specifically on the hiring manager interview. Often, even in large corporations, the hiring manager is the first one you need to speak with after the recruiter reaches out. And they will decide if you move forward to the next stage or not. So I will focus on nailing the hiring manager interview today. So let's start with nailing the hiring manager interview. Once you have convinced the hiring manager that you are the right candidate, you also need to convince an entire panel of people of diverse backgrounds and responsibilities. And in some cases, demonstrate your skills via some type of presentation or case study. As I said before, I'm going to focus on the hiring manager interview, those 20 or 30 minutes where you have to make a good first impression and convince the hiring manager that you're the right candidate to go on to the next steps. There's 3 parts to the hiring manager interview: beginning, middle, and end. So let's look at them individually. You need to start strong. This may sound simple, or obvious. First impressions matter. Dress professionally, arrive on time, and maintain positive body language. Being late because you missed an alarm is not a good thing. Make sure you set multiple. There's really no excuse for being late. If taking the train is part of your plan, leave at least an hour early or 2. If it's in Zoom, make sure you have a backup on your phone and log in early. In some cases, the hiring manager may run into problems, so you want to check your email often for last-minute changes and communicate with the recruiter or scheduler if you're having issues. You don't want to seem like you're a no-show. Early in my career, I had a draft person come in 2 hours late. He missed his alarm. I felt really bad. But this also caused him to not do well in the interview. He was flustered and could not focus. So that may happen to you. Number 2, research the company and the product. Start by visiting the company website, researching the company mission, product, and recent news. You want to know their market position and key competitors. Typically, the hiring manager will spend 5 or 10 minutes telling you about the role and their business. Demonstrate genuine interest and make sure you take notes so that you can ask questions later and be ready to reference some of the information you learn during the conversation. It will allow you to add some color to your stories when appropriate. Expect to be asked about the company's product, what you like about them, or what you may want to improve. Check the latest news. You may be able to come up with questions regarding a recent announcement as part of the conversation. I remember at Samsung, I was hiring for a content and services product manager. One candidate said to me at the hiring manager interview that he had not had a chance to look at the website. So I said, okay, everything else looked good. So I brought him back to speak to the rest of the team about a week later. So I met with him again after the team had met with him. And I asked him the exact same question. He still had not looked at the website. Needless to say, I didn't offer him the job. Number 3, communication is key. Be ready to clearly articulate your thoughts. Listen actively. Take notes if you need, so you can reference them later. And ask insightful questions that demonstrate your interest and curiosity. Articulate your ideas clearly. Anticipate and prepare for common and challenging questions. Practice your responses. You may want to use a method, the STAR method, situation, task, action, result, or any other method you're familiar with, to provide structure and impactful answers. Hiring managers are looking to see if you can communicate complex ideas to diverse stakeholders. They want to see what your presentation skills are. They will evaluate if you're actively listening and how you demonstrate empathy. Managers want to know that you have certain capabilities, but they will be even more impressed if you can demonstrate how you would use them to support their business goals. So what else is the hiring manager looking for? As you answer questions or talk about yourself, you need to demonstrate the following 6 skills. So let's dive into each of them. Number 1, leadership. Hiring managers want to hear examples of your past leadership experiences. They're looking for examples where you had significant influence or impact while working with others. Make sure to provide examples of how you motivated and rallied a team to achieve a goal, how you led cross-functional teams and influenced decisions. Some of his questions or her questions may involve vision setting or strategic thinking. So make sure you prepare examples for each. Use examples of when you develop a comprehensive long-term vision for your product. How did you go about it? How did you do it? A good example here could be a roadmap prioritization challenge. Typically, you have an idea of how to prioritize your features, but not enough resources. So how did you get alignment? Did you gather microdata, customer feedback? Did you use a method like the RISE method to prioritize, or something else? Who did you involve in this prioritization exercise? The hiring manager will evaluate your answer by looking for examples of past leadership experiences, examples that you showcase your ability to inspire and motivate teams, and examples that showcase your decision-making processes. Number 2, communication. As mentioned earlier, you need to use clear and concise communication in your stories and showcase effective stakeholder management. The hiring manager will evaluate you on presentation skills, clarity in conveying complex ideas, and will make note if you're an active listener and show empathy in certain situations. Number 3, be prepared to show your technical abilities or understanding if interviewing for a technical role. A hiring manager wants to make sure that you're familiar with the technology stack used by the company, that you share examples where it is clear that you understand the product development process, and that you're familiar with relevant technologies to the role. Use examples that demonstrate how you problem solve given technical constraints, how you have collaborated with engineering. And if you don't have any good examples of what you've done in the past, pick some relevant issue that may be relevant to the hiring manager or problem and show how you would have solved it if it had something to do with what you wanted to do. The hiring manager will evaluate evidence of having technical background or experience. if you share problem solving with technical constraints, and if you are able to collaborate with engineering teams effectively. Number 4, analytical thinking. Be prepared to discuss hypothetical or past experiences that showcase your ability to identify user needs, prioritize features, and understand market trends and competitive dynamics. Be prepared to show how you use data, like user research or analytics, to inform product decisions and measure success. Share how you prioritize features based on customer value or feedback, and examples of customer-centric decisions you have made. User research methods you have used, and demonstrate how you use data to develop a strategy or enhance the user experience. You may also want to talk about analytical frameworks and tools you may have used, and how you may have used hypothesis testing and evaluation. Make sure you discuss the importance of both using qualitative and quantitative measures in the evaluation process. Is it relevant to the job description? Also, mention specific metrics like customer adoption, retention of existing customers, or customer satisfaction scores, depending on your role and the product. The hiring manager will evaluate how you use data in the past projects, what analytical frameworks and tools you may have used. He or she will pay attention to examples of user research methodologies, examples of customer-centric decision, and examples of hypothesis testing and validation as applicable to the roles. Number 5, collaboration. Hiring managers want to hear how you effectively work with cross-functional teams like design or engineering, as well as marketing and sales, depending on the role. Make sure you provide examples of how you build strong relationships across departments, and if you work effectively across teams. They will be looking for examples of conflict resolution, team collaboration experiences, and your ability to influence without authority. A couple examples of questions that they may ask to test your collaboration skills could be, tell me a time where you had a disagreement and how you solved it. Or, tell me a time of how you convinced other team members to help accomplish a goal. Last but not least, problem solving. Hiring managers want to know how you tackle a challenging scenario and arrive at a solution. Were you innovative, creative? Did you use a structured approach to solve the problem? They want to understand your ability to decipher ambiguous situations or identify key issues to tackle. Make sure to use a case study or real-life problem scenario and show examples of how you solve complex problems. Explain the methodology you use to solve the problem, like design thinking or whatever it is, and prepare examples using the STAR method to showcase the above skills. The hiring manager will evaluate you on your choice of case study or real-life problem scenarios. They will listen for past experiences with complex problems, and they will pay attention to the methodologies you use. So in summary, these are the 6 skills hiring managers may be looking for to hear in your answers. And the first question that they will probably ask is, tell me about yourself. So answering the question, tell me about yourself, in the context of a product management role involves highlighting your relevant experiences, skills, and qualities that make you an ideal candidate for the position. So analyzing the job description is extremely important. Make sure your response has direct relevance to the role you're applying to, and remind them why you would be good at it. Prepare examples of how you have previously used the skills listed on the job description when answering any other questions. Not only in the tell me about yourself, but any other question they may ask you. You may want to explain what you do on a day-to-day in your latest role and how it relates to the requirements laid out in the job description, how your skills and experience make you a qualified and competitive candidate. Discuss specific examples from your work experience, important projects, challenges you learned from, and so on. Here's a structured way to craft your response to the question, tell me about yourself. So start with a brief introduction, with a concise introduction that includes your name and summary of your professional background. For example, my name is Sally, and I have over 5 years of experience in product management, working with cross-functional teams to deliver innovative IoT products that meet customer needs. Number 2, talk about your professional background. Provide a brief overview of your career path, focusing on roles and achievements that are most relevant to the specific product management role. For example, I began my career as a mechanical engineer designing smartwatches at ABC Corporation, where I gained a strong technical foundation. I transitioned into product management after my MBA, where I became responsible for leading the development of a new smart hat product line. Number 3, talk about key achievements. For example, highlight specific accomplishments that demonstrate your ability to succeed in the role and use quantifiable results where possible. For example, one of my significant achievements was leading the launch of the first digital thingamajig, which resulted in a 10% increase in market share and $100 million in revenue. I also implemented a new feature prioritization process that reduced time to market by 25%. Number 4, skills and experience. Emphasize the skills and experience that make you a strong fit for the product management role, such as stakeholder management, strategic planning, data analysis, and user experience design. Make sure you cover the skills in the job description. An example could be, at ABC Corporation, I collaborated with engineering, marketing, and engaged sales teams to ensure successful product launches. I was often invited to present the latest product information during the sales quarterly meetings. Additionally, my proficiency in data-driven decision-making and user-centered design has been instrumental in consistently driving product successes, including the latest gadget that won Best Innovative Product earlier this year at CES. And finally, you want to plug in why you're excited about this role. Conclude with why you're excited in this particular opportunity and how your background makes you a great fit. So you may want to finish this story by saying, I'm eager to bring my experience in IoT devices to help ABC Company continue to deliver exceptional connected products and achieve its goals. The hiring manager will most likely want to know if you research the company and sometimes the overall market. Be ready with 1 or 2 examples of your favorite product and how you would improve it. Make sure your answer includes recommendations that showcase your deep understanding of the customer need, that you're using data to propose enhancements to the user experience, that you mention a few features you could include and how you may prioritize them, and if possible, an alternate view of your prioritization post-launch based on customer feedback. This last bullet is a differentiator. You not only answer the question, but demonstrated self-reflection and proactiveness to continue refining the product line. So diving in further, usually hiring managers do not have time to ask behavioral questions, but in the event they do, these are a few that they may ask to help them assess the 6 skills we have discussed. I'm not going to go through them in detail, but take a quick look and make sure you use the STAR method to answer them as discussed. In closing, you need to ask thoughtful questions. This is the last stage. You want to ask questions that show your strategic thinking and company knowledge. As a hiring manager, I take notes of questions that candidates ask. You want to base your questions on something you discover in your research. Ask something about the industry as a whole or more specific about the company, but make sure it is not something that you could have found online. A few examples of good questions include, how does the team prioritize features for their roadmap? What's the biggest challenge of the role? What do you expect me to accomplish in the first 100 days of the job? What keeps you up at night? How does this role contribute to the overall success of the organization? And if you want to ask about competitors, you don't ask, who are your competitors? Rather, you can say something like, I see that your competitors include A, B, and C. How do you feel about the latest announcement that competitor C had on XYZ? As you learn more about the role during the conversation, you may want to ask for more clarification on a specific area of the discussion or more details about the responsibilities of the role. You may want to ask, what are the characteristics of someone who would succeed in the role? I also wanted to add a few not so good questions. because I've heard them before. So here they are. I had a candidate ask about the cafeteria food. Do you think this is a good idea, especially from a hiring manager? I had a candidate ask a question about a recent company story he read online and immediately retracted by saying, never mind, that would not be something that you know or would be able to know. You also don't want to ask how often you are expected in the office. Although this is an important question, if it's important to you, you need to ask the recruiter. It just comes as a red flag in terms of commitment, given the circumstances. Like I said, we don't have enough time to cover the post-hiring manager interviews, but here are a few tips to keep in mind as you do your research and prepare. Be consistent. After the hiring manager interview, you go on to talk about the panels. Be consistent because the panels, compare notes. It's okay to use the same example for questions from different panel members, but do not use the same example all the time for all the panel members because it will come across that you don't have enough experience. So make sure you sprinkle additional experiences and examples. Practice mock interviews. Simulate the real interview scenarios with colleagues or friends to receive feedback on your communication and storytelling ability. And when using the STAR method or any other method that, for that matter, not only talk about the STAR per se, but talk about the impact of your results and what you learn from the situation. A few other thoughts. Be genuine and confident in your abilities. Use stories to make sure your experiences are memorable and make sure you follow up with emails post the interview. So to summarize, to nail the hiring manager interview, you need to exhibit the 6 key skills that we discussed. You need to demonstrate a deep understanding of the customer needs and show how you prioritize features. And you need to research the company and prepare to showcase your experiences as they relate to the job description. Practice, and you'll be able to move to the next stage of the company's hiring process. Thank you for taking the time in attending this seminar. I hope you learn a few new tips and tricks. And don't stop learning. Work on creating your narratives and be ready to bring the right examples for the right jobs. The market is very dynamic, so good luck in your next interview. Thank you so much.